Hey, hey, happy Tuesday. Welcome again to another episode of Let's Talk About It. So
Ooh,
excited
yeah.
for another conversation with another guest today. We have another author. The book that we talked about last week, Our Forgotten Children, we have another author from that. So really excited. We're going to have Nancy on tonight. So want to encourage everybody that if you're wondering, you have all kinds of questions about how to be in an anthology or what was that experience like? Please feel free to put that in the chat so that we can address some of those questions and concerns while we are live. So before we get into today's conversation, we're going to introduce ourselves. So I am Lachelle Atkins, also known as America's Supermom, mother of 15 children, and I'm a TV producer with Keep It Real TV on the Zandra TV network to help you monetize and create a greater impact with your message on television. So I'm excited to be here today, excited to meet another author and talk about, our messages. I think it really is powerful to take some time to document, right? How we're thinking
Yeah.
and what we want to do in this world, in terms of our voice and really expressing that in a book. So I'm excited for today's conversation. So over to you, Anita.
Well, thank you so much, Lachelle. It's always awesome to be here and sharing this space with you. I am Anita Newson, also known as Anita in the Biz Coach. And what I have a passion to do, at least one of my passions, is to connect people, places, and opportunities so they can grow and expand, whether that's in their personal or professional live. So I am also a TV producer under Lachelle's Micro Network, which is Keep It Real TV, and my channel is You Make a Difference TV. And what I like to focus on my channel is connecting with people in their communities and around the world that are making a difference in their sphere of influence. So that's my story, and I am going to yield the mic for now.
Awesome. Well, our guest has arrived, but I wanted to first start off and give a shout out to one of our other producers, Kate Thurman. Today's her birthday. So we want to say, hey, happy birthday,
Happy
Kate.
birthday, Kate. Shout out. Yes.
We know she
Party
is
girl.
celebrating and well deserved. She had a graduation over the
Yes.
weekend and things are busy.
She had
We're
two,
traveling.
actually.
Yeah, we're traveling in a couple of days. So,
Yes.
lots to get ready for. And just want to give her a shout out and happy belated Memorial Day. I don't think we talked
Yes.
yesterday, but want to acknowledge you for your service and thank you so much for what you're doing. But tell us about your project related to being a veteran.
Well, yes. So I had an opportunity to be in another anthology, and it's with Laquita Parks, and she is the publisher of the project. And I don't want to say it wrong. It's Pro Pay
Hey,
View.
Pro V.
Grateful V. Thank you very much. And that is the name of her publishing company. And so the name of the book is The World Within. And it's by, gosh, I don't know how many veterans, I don't know how many of us is in it, at least 7 or 8, maybe even more. And it was just an awesome project to be on. I love the fact that some of the proceeds goes to provide, need, those in need that are veterans. So that's near and dear to my heart. Being a veteran myself. And I actually also had the awesome opportunity to write one of my friends that's also, we've been friends over 20 years. I got a chance to write her story in that anthology as well. So it's just been an awesome experience. I am looking forward. The launch, we had it, I think, a couple of weeks ago. The pre-launch is over, and now I believe the hard copy and the soft copies are on Amazon or wherever she's selling it at from her website as well. Y'all can go ahead and get it and go ahead and support the veterans, right? We know,
I love that.
though, Memorial Day is really for those that have fallen. So those that
Yeah.
were, killed in battle or while, serving.
Hmm.
But still, I definitely honor those that served, that still serve, and those that
Mhm.
are committed to helping those that serve. So thank you so much for that, Lachelle.
Oh, you are welcome. Well, I'm excited to get into today's conversation, and we're going to have a quick little clip, a little bit from You Make a Difference TV, and then we'll be right back with our guests.
Are you ready to elevate your brand to new heights and make a lasting impact globally? Collaborate with You Make a Difference TV and unlock unparalleled opportunities to reach your audience.
What's coming with me into the new year? What do I want to
engage your community and make a difference on a global scale? Whether you're a business or nonprofit, our platform provides a unique space to showcase your story.
That special wall comes with the food. We definitely want.
Let's embark on a journey together to make a difference in your community and beyond. Join us and shape your future of your brand today. Reach your audience, reach your community, reach the world on You Make a Difference TV. Contact us today by emailing Anita Newson at info@anitainthebizcoach.com or call.
Gotta love technology.
Yes, and all these gadgets I got around me, just I'm having all kind of stuff falling all over me. And all I was trying to do was plug up my fan because I'm having a flash, but it's all good. It's all
It's
good.
wonderful. Okay, we just have to, you understand that I'm here just to be in front of the camera, all this other stuff. Hey, I just can't tell you. We just learn as we go. But Nancy, we are so glad to have you with us this evening. Excited to hear more about your chapter and everything. But before we dive into that, please take a moment to introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, thank you, Lachelle. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm glad to meet Anita. That's great. I love being here with you guys to talk about what's dear and to my heart, and that is autism. And about 36 children are now being diagnosed with autism, and a lot of children are actually not diagnosed, so it's probably more than that. And so I'm trying to be an advocate for them. I am an advocate, and I meet with families all the time to help them with strategies because they are really frustrated and overwhelmed and need support. And our communities need to support them too. And so many times they do not. And we need to be able to educate folks. They just don't understand when the children are not speaking, or maybe they're not acting like a normal child because maybe they're not. And so, I just love that. I have a grandson who is on the spectrum. He is very high functioning and is doing well. But there are a lot of children who are overwhelmed and frustrated, and their parents are too. So that's what I'm doing for advocacy. Thank you.
Love that. And I think that's an important mission that you're doing. If someone is listening, because I think a lot of times we have these terms and we even have months that are dedicated to autism. And you mentioned being on the spectrum, high functioning. Can you kind of explain a little bit about autism? Because there's a lot of different terms around it, neurodiverse and different things like that. So can you walk us through that? Because some people just assume that they understand and know, but they have no clue.
Well, if you think about a spectrum, it's big. And the quote that I have, and lots of people have this quote, it's, if you know one child with autism, you know one child with autism, because they're all different. They are neurodiverse. There is something in their brain that is different. It's not bad. It is just different. And so there are folks that are really high functioning, sort of like Elon Musk and several others that really are smart in certain ways. And then you have those that are not thinking, they're not being able to function like we normally do. Maybe they need lots and lots of care. So, you've got one side of the spectrum all the way down to the other side. And so they are sort of diagnosing them with 1, 2, 3 different kinds of, and that means that they're perhaps a little bit more on the autistic spectrum than another child, or not able to do as much. So those are the things that we need to educate people about. They're about at Walmart or Target or any other store. Sometimes they have meltdowns, and that is something that people don't understand, and they think the parents are not disciplining them correctly. And that is very derogatory for those parents. They're doing the best they can. There's other children that elope, they run away, and we have to put some kind of straps around them to hold on to them so they don't hurt themselves by running away. I met with a parent the other day whose child runs away all the time, and they police bring him back. They've got locks all over their doors. They've done everything, but this child, I believe, is 10, and he is big enough to actually get out and run away. And it's just very frustrating for those parents. Sometimes CPS is called, Child Protective Services. They think that the parents aren't doing what they're supposed to do to keep him safe, and they're doing everything they can. So this is just a real heartbreaking thing that happens to some of these parents. Now, not all the parents are having those kind of problems. Some of them, the children are not aggressive. They're just not being able to speak, or they're not being able to eat well. So there's just lots of different things that go along with these neurodiverse children.
I love that. Now, so how do we, what are some signs that for people to have their kids tested? What are, because if it's such a range, what are some things that they should be looking for?
Okay. They look for poor eye contact. Of course, the speech, developmental speech, stimming, which means they might be flapping their hands or hitting their head sometimes on a wall because they've got something going on in their head that's bothering them. They don't eat well. Have the food that they will eat. They a lot of times don't sleep well. Parents many times are up many times during the night trying to help their child to get back to sleep. They just have a hard time getting along socially. So a lot of these girls, I listen to so many YouTube videos of girls who are now adults, and they are not actually, they're not diagnosed as soon as boys. Most of the time, it's late teens and early 20s when they are finally diagnosed, because originally the tools that were used to diagnose these children were mainly for boys, and the girls could actually mask really well. And of course, when they mask, that causes a lot of frustration internally for them. And so when they would go home and be able to be themselves, then they would be overwhelmed and maybe be aggressive and do things that were not acceptable. So, there's just a lot of things that we see that are different. And goodness, the education is so badly needed.
One thing that comes to mind because I have known some parents. I used to also, I did a little research on some of the things you've done in some of your interviews, Nancy. And I also come from one of my careers was in childcare. And I've worked around children, a lot as well in different jobs and careers I've had. So one of the things that came to mind is I noticed some parents are reluctant to get their children tested. Sometimes they're in denial, and they're slow to, even like I said, go get them evaluated. So how would someone that observes some of these, behaviors, how would you communicate, tactfully in a loving way that maybe they need to have them evaluated?
Well, I think they could take a list of characteristics that the autism folks have made. That they could list all. They could see what the list is and see what their children are doing. Um, a lot of times, the schools will actually ask the parents to get them tested. Some of the folks in our schools are actually able to help with that. But it really is hard for these parents to accept so many times. These milestones that are not being met, though, are definitely, you need to look at those. The speaking and the eye contact and the stimming and those kind of things are really, really important to look at. I know that many parents don't want to accept it, and dads are even more so. They don't want to accept it because this is their child and he's perfect or she's perfect. It can't be. Their child is different or neurodiverse. So my grandson has never diagnosed, and there are a lot of children out there that haven't. But then there are others where the mom or the dad are looking at these things that maybe are different about their child. The milestones are not being met, and they don't come when they are called. And many, many times they realize that maybe they're just not with us exactly, and they're not responding. So yeah, it's really hard to get parents to do that when they do not want to accept that the child could be neurodiverse or autistic. Some of them have ADHD also. Some of them have ADD. Some of them have sensory. Most of them have sensory issues. So maybe they're not enjoying loud noises or bright lights, or don't like. And part of the food situation is that they don't like the texture or the taste of the foods that are offered. So, getting around all those kind of things. I have met with parents, children not eating at all, and they were so worried because they weren't getting any nutrition. And so, there are strategies to help with some of that. Now, obviously, you need something in your stomach.
Yeah.
But there are gummies that have fruit and vegetables in them. There's patches that they can put on them. They can even put one on a back where the child can't get to it. So there's ways to get around some of that, but it's not ideal. So.
That's a good point about the parents possibly being reluctant or in denial. But, what are some encouraging words for them? Because, I think there's a lot of challenges just with education in general sometimes when, a child is not learning in the same manner that the other kids are, where they might need to have special tutoring or whatever. even in a gifted setting sometimes, you can have the extremes where you're,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, you know, a lot of them may feel like maybe they're not getting the support, so what words of encouragement would you give them? Because I think that can be kind of overwhelming for people.
Yes, it is. And the thing is that there are resources out there when a child's been diagnosed
Mhm.
that can actually give parents a way to help their children. Speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, all those ABA therapy, and there's a lot of government resources that they can access if they are diagnosed. So, encouraging parents to reach out and get that diagnosis so that their child can actually be helped very early on. And it's been found that really that the key to helping them is that if they get this help in the early years, then they may mitigate a lot of the problems they're going to have later. So, encouraging them to get that diagnosis. Again, listing out those characteristics and going over them with the parent. What are you seeing? This is what we're seeing, and helping them to get that diagnosis. Now, it is not easy to get the diagnosis a lot of times because um, psychologists, I guess psychiatrists too, are also able to do that. But the
Mhm.
list is long, in wait time, and so they need to get on a wait list to get an
Mm.
appointment with some of these doctors so that they can get that official diagnosis. Now, schools can do preliminary diagnosis, and they can help them in special ed classes. And
Mhm.
sometimes they can actually have a teacher go into a regular class for maybe part of the day with the child to help um,
Mm.
with whatever needs to be done for that child, help him stay calm and those kind of, so he can actually learn with the other children. They really need the social aspect of school and being with other children.
Love that. That's good. Um, I think this is really an important topic. So when you think about, this anthology or, project that we have created with Sarah, what was one of the um, key factors that had you say yes to this project?
Well, I guess it's my son because that's someone dear to my heart, and I've done a lot of research. I don't have a degree. I don't in special ed. I was a child care director
Mm.
for over 23 years, and we saw children that came through the spectrum, and we tried to learn all we could. But there wasn't a lot of information out there whenever I was that child care director because I've been retired 14 years. And I started in 1986. And so we went to a lot of conferences and read books, listened to professionals who came in. We had early childhood intervention that would come in for children that were um, under 3. They came into our center and actually taught our teachers how to do some of the things that needed to be done for those children. And so I felt like I needed to share the information that I had learned. Um, since about, I guess it was maybe 2018 or 19, I really began to delve into more research on autism and actually had a support group here in my area for parents of adult children, adult loved ones, and learned from them. I have been in a support group in Austin, Texas,
Mm.
through Zoom with a bunch of parents who have adult loved ones. learning about how to find housing and how to get special needs trusts and all the things that they need to have in place whenever the time comes when those parents are no longer here, because those adult children are going to live past their parents, and they need to make sure that the parents need to make sure that they are taken care of. So I've learned a lot about some of those things, and just felt when Sarah asked me to do this that I really just wanted to do it to share what I knew.
Love that. And you mentioned special needs trust. Can you expound a little bit more about that?
Okay, when children are diagnosed and they are receiving benefits from the
Mhm.
government,
Mhm.
the parents may also have some money that they would like to leave those children so that perhaps they can have better housing, things that they need that maybe the government resources are not going to provide for. If
Mm.
they have their money in a special needs trust, then the government resources continue. If it's just in a trust or just in a savings account, then the government will look at that and say, oh, well, you have money, you don't need these. But these
Oh.
loved ones that are adults, they're maybe 50 years old and they need housing, maybe in a group home, and the parents want them taken care of in a good group home that maybe the government wouldn't be able to provide enough money for
Mm.
that. Then they can have these special needs trusts that will provide for those adults to have, or even children. We don't know when we're going to leave this world. So everybody
Mhm.
should have a special needs trust that has one of these autistic children. And that's
Wow.
one of the things that I'm trying to advocate for, because they don't have them.
Mhm.
If something happens to these parents and these children are left, then who knows what's going to happen? Somebody from the government or hopefully a relative would step in and sort of take over, but many times they don't. I have a
Mhm.
friend that I went to school with, and she has I don't, 55-year-old, I can't remember exactly how old he is. She is looking at this special needs trust, and they're kind of complicated. So you have to have a particular kind of lawyer that knows
Mhm.
about these special needs trusts, because the parent may have guardianship. Well,
Right.
if they're gone, then the guardian is gone, and the state's going to step in and give him another guardian, unless you've got
Mm.
that in this trust and all in those final wills and trusts and all those things that we need to have in place. So, as I said, they're very complicated. I spoke with a lawyer just this week, and he talked to me for probably an hour telling me all these things, and I can't even, they were so complicated, I can't even tell you. But I was trying to get information for my friend who has this 50-something-year-old son, and
Yeah.
she's 77. She doesn't know when she's going to leave this
Yeah.
world. So it's just so very, very important that these special needs trusts are set up. And I'm trying to
Mm.
get that word out. I actually got my insurance license back in September, and I
Mm.
have access to a lawyer who can do those all in all 50 states. So if
Wow.
someone needed to have a referral for that, I can give them his name and number,
Mm.
and then we can help that person set up what needs to go into the trust. Maybe they have a life insurance policy or
Mhm.
other kind of savings that they have in place that would need to go into that trust. and we can help with setting some of that kind of things up.
That's awesome. I mean, very informative because I had no idea. And I have a few, well, my one of my stepsons is special needs. And he lives with his mom who provides 100% care for him. So that's something that she could benefit from knowing, as well as I have a first cousin who is in the same situation with one of her children. So definitely good to know. I appreciate that.
You are
Yes, I do too. I know earlier on, Nancy, you mentioned, some of the national organizations and things of that nature that really, honestly, a lot of parents and people may not even know about. I'm
Mhm.
not sure if that was Babies Can't Wait that you were maybe mentioning earlier, but what are some of the other maybe, national or maybe even local agencies and things of that nature that people can reach out
Mhm.
to get the resources and the information and maybe even training that they may need when they have a relative
Mhm.
that is dealing with this type of condition?
There are all kinds of support groups and a state. I'm sure there's something in every state. I'm familiar with one in Texas because that's where I live. We have the Autism Society of Texas, and they have a website that has all kinds of resources on it. And I would imagine that there is something like that in every state. I was able to find the support group in Austin whenever I went to that website, and I got the website, the link for their Zoom, and I just went in. I didn't have to know anybody. I just got the information off of Autism Society of Texas website, and then was able to be a member of this support group. I've been a member for probably 3 years, maybe, and they have given me so much information. We just had a retreat weekend before last. It was Mother's Day weekend, and we had about 10 ladies that got together at a resort and actually had all kinds of self-care, because those people have been in the trenches with
Yeah.
those loved ones. A lot of times they can't leave. They have to find someone to stay right there with that loved one so that they can even get out anywhere. So there were several that weren't even able to come that wanted to. But that we had a speaker there that talked about how we can help the loved ones to get independent living, maybe in a
Mm.
group home with a little bit of help, all kinds of other things. She was wonderful to give us really, really good information. She wanted all of us to make sure that our loved ones are as independent as they can be, because a lot of times parents do so much for them that they don't do themselves, and that's not a good thing. We need for them to do all the things that they can do.
Mhm.
But the government, that comes from the federal government, the resources that come from the federal government, you will find with the Social Security people,
Mm.
the Medicare people, and all those kind of benefit folks. So, and I have access to a lady that actually I refer to all the time. I believe she lives in Maryland, and she is disabled herself. So she will support those families that I refer to her really well, giving them really good information because she's had to know it herself. She is very independent, but and she doesn't have autism. She has something else that is causing her to be disabled, but she is completely on government resources, and
Um,
that's hard. She doesn't get a lot of money for that, and
Mhm.
if she gets a job, then those go away. So
exactly.
That's great.
she's kind of
So,
caught in the middle. But
I
anyway, I
that
can
is
give on that resource for her. She is great and knows her stuff.
That's awesome. I love that that you connect so many people, that have resources and knowledge that you can connect with, people, other people that you meet, and that you can
Mhm.
provide that to them. Something you mentioned, because I've worked as an advocate for people with disabilities in the past, and I've also was in the foster care system,
Mhm.
and where I've trained and recruited foster parents and kept their homes registered every year. So one of the needs, like you said, self-care is a big thing.
Mhm.
So one of the needs I can see that these parents and caregivers would need too is respite care. Being able to
Mhm.
take a break when they need it, to take
Mhm.
their self-care, their just getting away to be able to mentally, physically, and all those things refresh themselves. Are there resources out there for parents for respite care for for this as well?
There are some resources, but people have to really dig for them. I
Mhm.
met a couple of ladies just last week that were telling about a particular part of Texas. It's not for every county, but that respite care in that area, it's hard to find. It is really hard to find. We need it so badly for these parents. They get depressed. They
Mhm.
don't get sleep. They worry about their children and their success. They're not able to work a lot of times.
Mhm.
Many times these parents divorce because the stress is so much. And we just really need respite care. I can't say it enough. And I know that you're thinking about that too. But it's few and far between, as best I can tell. And the other thing that I have been working on with my church is to provide care for children while parents go to worship in
Mhm.
church. And there are a few churches that provide that, but a lot of them don't. And
Mhm.
you have to have congregants that are willing to volunteer to be what my church calls a buddy, that can take that child and deal with that child however they need to, whether it is in the worship service or maybe in another area, with toys and things that are appropriate for them, and let those parents have time to do what they would normally do if their child was not neurodivergent.
Mhm.
Wow,
Yeah,
yeah.
these are some good things to be mindful of, because I think, having this conversation is so good because you don't always think of these things. If it's not in your reality immediately, it's hard to think about. But we're coming to Texas. So, what part of Texas are you in? We're coming to Dallas.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. You kind of broke up.
Okay, I
What
said
was
we're coming to Texas the end of this week. What part of Texas are you in? We're going to Dallas.
I'm in Fort Worth, which is about 35 miles from Dallas. And
Awesome.
I lived here pretty much most of our married life.
Mhm. Well,
So
maybe we'll be able to at least say hello and meet somewhere, so that we can exchange pictures and get a signed copy of your book at least. That'd be amazing.
I didn't exactly get all of that because you kind of broke up, but I think you were saying maybe we could meet somewhere. Is
Mhm.
that what you were saying?
Yeah. And
Arlington is in the middle, and
oh,
I could
okay.
come to Arlington and you come to Arlington from Dallas. So
Okay.
that would not be a problem. When are you
Awesome.
coming?
We are actually going to be there this weekend. So Friday through
Oh, wow.
Monday. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So pretty quick.
Okay, I'm not even prepared. Okay.
I know. Haven't even
Who's
started packing. Okay. Haven't even started.
I haven't unpacked from the last trip 2 weeks ago. Okay.
I love it. Yeah.
Perhaps on, I don't know what your schedule is like. I would probably be free either Saturday evening or maybe
Okay.
Sunday afternoon.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds perfect. One of those days definitely probably coincides with our schedule. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah, we're
Mhm.
coming there for an awards program and some training
Oh,
for
wow.
our network that we're part of. So it's really, we're really excited to be there. We were there in February, so we're back again. Um, with some more training and things of that nature. But this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I think one of the last things that I would say is, what is a myth or some things that people just assume that you feel like, we can set the record straight with some of the beliefs around autism?
Well, let's see. Um, some people think that these children that don't speak are not hearing,
Mhm.
and they are taking every single thing in. And when they are able to speak, they actually have learned so much that everybody is just gobsmacked. They think that they can't hold a job.
Mhm.
Many, many, many of them can hold a job. There's this stigmatism that they're not able to learn,
Mhm.
and they are able to learn. They, uh, I think all of them are able to learn, some on a little bit less skill level than others, but they're all able to learn. Um, the myth of not understanding about when they have meltdowns,
Mhm.
that is something where they are overwhelmed and they are not able to manage
Mhm.
themselves in this overwhelm that they are a part of. And so it may be that there's so many people around, there's so much noise around, there's just so much going on that they can't handle it.
Mhm.
So that myth is there.
Mhm.
I'm not thinking of others right this minute. I know there are
Those
plenty.
were good. Those were
Oh,
good. Yeah, those were excellent because I think again, if we're not having these conversations, it's something that is right in front of us a lot of
mhm.
times, and if we're not being intentional with the discussion, we can miss it.
Right,
It's something
right.
that's very plain and simple. So I love those
Mhm.
things. Yeah.
The one
So
So,
I
thing
had
that I would like to say is that what we need to work on as communities is inclusion.
mhm,
Inclusion in our jobs, inclusion in social circles. We need
mhm,
inclusion in, these children a lot of times are not even invited to birthday parties.
mhm,
And they're well, that's kind of a stigmatism too, that they are so unsocial that they can't be a part of anything else. The other
mhm.
thing I'd like to say is that we need education for our policemen,
Mm,
our
yes.
fire department folks, our healthcare folks, and anyone else that has any kind of part of dealing with these children, criminal justice system. And I will tell you a story right now if you have the time.
absolutely.
We we have a gentleman in our jail right now
Mhm.
that is autistic. He was in a group home. He was having a meltdown, a very severe one.
Mhm.
And the mental health people were actually called, and also, I guess, the police. And the people at the group home said this man needs to go to a mental health facility.
Mhm.
He was not taken to a mental health facility. He was taken to jail. He has been there unless he has been released in the last few days. When I got the information from our newspaper, this was about 2 weeks ago. Not wasn't even 2 weeks, maybe 10 days ago. He
Mhm.
was still in the jail, and that had been 100 days that he had been there. And he was suicidal. And the folks that the sheriff and our district attorney will not deal with him going to a mental health institution or help
Mm.
for help. And this is a travesty that is
Mm.
happening in my county right now. And we need to have people that are advocating for him and people like him all over the United States. This is
Mhm.
not right that
Yeah.
he is still there. And I got that information whenever I was at the retreat, and I shared it with the ladies, and they were absolutely just horrified because
Mhm.
that could have been their child.
Yeah.
And we have to educate our people that are in control, our government and our
Mhm.
police and our healthcare folks. They have to know how to deal with these folks because there are so many of them anymore. As I
Mhm.
told you in the beginning, the statistics right now are 1 in 36. That's a lot of people,
Yeah.
and they're getting to be more and more. And because
Mhm.
it used to be not nearly that many.
Right.
So, you know, this is a crisis situation to me,
Mhm.
especially about this gentleman that is in the jail. And I don't know how to help him exactly. One of the ladies from the retreat asked me to tell someone about the adult protective services. They should be a part of that
Mhm.
decision and all. But I don't know. I gave the lady that is a part of a justice network group, which I'm
Mhm.
a part of too, to give to his mother because she has been advocating every single day for him and
Wow.
is so worried that he's going to take his own life. And
Yeah.
so, you know, the education piece is so important that we get out there and educate our folks that are in control of our loved ones and our society. So
Mm.
I'm glad you're being able to get the information out through
Mhm.
this venue here, and maybe something will come of it.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that because, again, I just feel that a lot of times we are afraid to talk about some of these things. It's like we don't know what to do, so we don't talk, or we ignore it, or we feel like, it's going to magically go away on its own, right? A lot of these things happen, and it's important to have that conversation for sure.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Hmm.
Yes.
Now, so
Um,
what's the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
I have a hmm. I have a website. It's not real up to date. It's nancy-cotten.com. And
Mhm.
then I can give you my email. I can give you my phone number. I don't have a problem with that. My
Okay.
phone number is 817-360-5978.
Mhm.
My email address is N.A. Cotten, and my name is spelled with an E, Cotten, 123 at gmail.com.
Mhm.
And I would love to help anyone that needs that help. I will give them any information that I have. I can refer them to someone for a special needs trust. I can help with helping someone set up a life insurance policy to go into that trust. There's all
Mhm.
kinds of things that I can help with. And I'm not sure how you get those to the people, but I guess I'm telling your audience what my information is, so they can contact me in any way they want to.
Absolutely. And we can definitely add that to the comments of this
Okay. Sure.
event as well. So, well, thank you so much, Nancy. It is really a
You're
pleasure to
welcome.
have this conversation. I have lots of notes over here
Great.
because, I think it's important, right? I have
Mhm.
15 children of my own, but, when you're thinking about grandchildren, they're your kids' friends and
Right.
cousins, there's a lot of overlap where, as you said, the numbers are growing for a
Yes,
lot of these situations. And sometimes people, like you said, are not even being diagnosed,
exactly.
and we're saying, oh, they're a problem, and these kids are acting up when really it's a deeper issue. So I appreciate everything that you've shared today, really, truly.
Well, thank you, Lachelle and Anita, for having me. I appreciate that. I love getting the information out because it is so
Mm.
needed. So
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are so welcome. And we want to thank all of you guys for watching this evening. Mary Baker, want to give you a shout out. Thanks so much for joining us all the way from Tennessee. So we're excited that you were able to join and share this video. That's what I encourage you to do because it was a lot of important information that you can simply share with other people, organizations, teachers that could really help them to kind of take a different perspective and look at things from a different vantage point that can really help our youth in terms of navigating through some of the situations that they all may be facing. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you guys on our next episode. Thanks again, Nancy.
Thank you.